There we go. Hey, all right, folks. It is March the 15th, and today we're talking about chapter 135. We skipped 134. We're almost done with the book, and so next week we're going to finish the book, and we should start on the next portion. So we're going to do a lot less reading for the last couple of months of school. But that does mean I'm going to lecture a bit more, but I'm going to post my lecture notes so you have access to that. As you saw in the Google Classroom, I had an announcement. We got a test Thursday. We're going to review Wednesday. It's Thursday. It's like, look in the Google Classroom. I might have misspoke. But it is Thursday. I got 3 classes I'm testing on Thursday. And so there's going to be no lecture Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday, because Friday I got to go to a meeting. Like I thought it was the other week, but it's actually going to be this week. So we're going to lecture today and tomorrow. Test on Thursday, chapter 113 to 135. But today for chapter 135, which will be on your test, we have the following terms. What led to the 30 Years' War? Bohemia. Gustavus Adolphus, which is a terrible sounding name. Cardinal Richelieu. Who's we'll talk about him in a minute. The Peace of Westphalia. What did the war do in Germany? The 30-Year War. What did that do? Hugo Grotius. So somebody's going to come up with some ideas that have to do with how we conduct war and how we don't conduct war. All right. So first off, you have the Spanish king and Holy Roman Emperor Ferdinand II, right? And so he's going to want to rejoin the empire. The empire was Catholic, but they had made a lot of peace with the Lutherans, but they didn't recognize Calvinists. And Calvinism is what's going to spring up out of France, and it's going to lead to other denominations later on throughout history, such as Presbyterians, Baptists, Puritans, like the Pilgrims and all that stuff. And we'll talk about that later when we get to that. But they didn't have any religious freedom within Germany at this time. So because there's going to be an uprising in a little place called Bohemia in that area, he's going to crush that uprising. And then he's going to use that victory as a reason to just go ahead and start rooting out more what they see as like religious dissent. And also try to get back some of the property that they lost, the religious property from the prior wars. The 30-Year War, pretty much if you want to picture it in your head, this is during the time period when you had that very famous novel, The Three Musketeers, written, right? And so it's during this time period where you have that kind of weird mix between like high French fashion. Guys were still wearing armor and using pikes and stuff like that in combat, but there were muskets and cannon fire as well. And so we're moving away from night warfare and stuff like that and more like a traditional kind of a quasi-modern style of fighting. 30-Year War is going to be very devastating. This war is mostly going to be fought like some of the other recent wars we talked about by mercenary troops. These mercenaries, like the other religious wars we talked about in Germany, are going to be brutal. The German population is going to decrease by more than 50%. A lot of the people there are going to starve because their farms will be destroyed, die of disease because they're exposed to elements and also other things that breed disease, such as like dysentery and typhoid fever, things from drinking dirty water. A lot of cities, whenever they're captured, the people are killed. They're slaughtered. So this is going to be extremely ruthless warfare because it's going to be seen again as a civil war. And civil wars where people kill those who they deem as traitors are always the worst. And this one was one of them. So oddly enough, you have a Swedish king called Gustavus Adolphus is going to come in, and he himself is going to be a Calvinist, and he's going to see himself as somebody who's going to try to save his fellow Calvinists from this persecution. He's going to be a military genius who's going to lead quite a few victories, but unfortunately for their cause, he's going to fall in battle. but he is going to make enough headway, and he's going to unite a lot of the German people there, even though he wasn't German. He's going to give them a chance to at least maintain their independence at the end of the war. The Germans are also going to have help from this guy. So this guy's Cardinal Richelieu. And so like I told you, this is during the time period that the Three Musketeers was written. This is who the bad guy in the Three Musketeers was based on. I forgot his name. It's been like years. But he's actually going to be the second person underneath the King of France. You can think of him as like the foreign minister. He's the guy who's going to do a lot of the backroom wheeling and dealing to try to plan how France can become a stronger country and empire while hurting their neighbors and their enemies, specifically the Holy Roman Empire and the Spanish. And they're like, hey, these Germans are fighting our enemies. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So they get involved. And that's going to be a lot of aid for these German people. It's going to eventually help lead to the Peace of Westphalia. And when you think about it, that's kind of what happened in the American Revolution. We had a lot of troubles. Put your phone up, please. Okay, I'll look at it later. Like the American Revolution, we were in a lot of trouble. We were holding out. The French come and help us out. And when the French do come and help us, the war's over. Why did the French get involved in the American Revolution? Because they hated England. And the enemy of their enemy was their friend. And so it worked out. So, all right. So note to self, if I ever start a war, make sure it's with somebody France doesn't like. Works out. All right. So that's that. It's a really dark picture. But yeah, that's when the treaty signed. And then you have all three of the major forms of Christianity in this region are now legal and recognizing one another. And it's going to be a terrible period. A lot of depopulation in Germany, like I said. And so it's going to take a long time for them to like rebuild a lot of this place and rebuild their population as well.
Germany always loses half the population.
Because it was for a long time. The main reason is because they were disunified, right? A bunch of little countries that couldn't like join together. And so there were times where you would have two European decide we're going to have a war. But they're not going to fight in their own lands. They'll just bring their troops up to Germany and they'll fight there, and all the poor Germans get caught in the middle. Like, nobody's going to stop us. It's kind of like you don't play baseball in your living room. You go outside. And they thought that was outside.
So,
yeah, it didn't work out well. Okay. Hey, okay. Hey, so let's go to the first one. You guys all figure it out?
Yeah.
All right, good. Hey, short, general answers are good. They're good. So let's go ahead and let's get what led to the 30 Years' War? Yeah, because I want it in y'all's words. Y'all. All right.
It was over ownership of the church property. Ownership. Ownership of the church property. Ownership of church property.
Lutherans, yeah.
Lutherans allowed no right to whatsoever to large body of Calvinists did not.
Yeah, so Lutherans could worship, but Calvinists couldn't. Yeah. So some churches could practice, but some churches couldn't.
So Lutherans could worship,
but Calvinists couldn't. And there still is like Lutherans, but I can't really think of anybody who calls themselves Calvinists anymore. Now it's normally like Presbyterians and stuff like that. But even back then they didn't call themselves Calvinists; they called themselves Huguenots. So I
don't think anybody, I haven't heard of a Huguenot church in recent history. I'm sure they're out there. We're self-critical. We're All right, so what led to 30 Years' War? Ownership of church property. Catholics wanted their stuff back. Lutherans could worship, but Calvinists couldn't. They didn't like that. Obviously, restricting religious freedom has always led to trouble in human history. All right, so next one, Bohemia. Yeah, let's see what those Bohemians.
Yeah, probably could.
This is going to be the whole starting point, the spark to light the fire, right?
Angry. Would you send her? Can you send me that picture?
Consider a picture.
Can you send me please? You did, but the one I said you complimented us. What's this happening?
Are you ready? Oh my God.
Okay, I didn't know. It's a scam.
Yeah, it's from
We always
there.
think-
Shh, hey, y'all are getting too loud over there.
Loud things.
We not have your laptop. More than you.
All right, so Bohemia, the war started here where Protestants had not been extinguished by the Hussite Wars. Many Calvinists revolted against the Habsburgs, and they declared themselves independent. But unfortunately for them, Ferdinand II won, right? All right, so let's get the next one, Gustavus Adolphus.
We're calling you. It's like he's camel.
Worse in your country.
Sweden, I think it's D-E-N.
Declare.
Yeah.
Yeah, the marker was wrong.
I think there's a V in there. Sweden.
Sweden. I think they just pronounced the W as a V. I mean, a W was actually, it used to be two V's, but then they put it together. W actually means
Yes.
double V. Double V, double V.
So why don't we call it a double?
Sweden.
I bet you did. Baby.
Seniors over here like, I don't doubt it.
Sweden. I just wish we could get rid of K's. I don't know why K exists.
Like you, huh?
I think the C can do its job just fine.
What?
Or just get rid of C.
Yeah, because C is a combination of K and S.
But you could have an S do the job, or just like, or maybe C should only come for the ch sound. That's what I think. There we go. Now you just got to figure out how to restructure English.
It would be cardinal would be K.
That's okay.
And then instead of like,
And alliances, that could be SES at the end. I mean, why do we need a C there? Same sound.
Concord would be K.
Yeah. All right, so Gustavus, king of Sweden, military genius, tried to form alliances with Protestant princes, conquered part of Germany, and died. All right, so on that fine note, we're ready for Cardinal Richelieu. Or is it Richelieu? I think it's Richelieu. The French mastermind. The trickster. Cardinal Richelieu is like somebody they said actually lived out Machiavelli's ideas, like from The Prince. Very cold-blooded, get things done for the sake of the prince.
Did it work?
It worked very well. It worked very well. Yeah. He was not a naive man, but he was known as a villain even by his own people. So, you know. Not known as a very religious cardinal, which is kind of not so good.
You're gonna be the first person to send it to me. I did it for 5 cents.
Wow.
Nothing. Say that. Never give. This tropic. Oh.
Oh, God. She really said, why?
Okay, Harry Potter.
That's
Whoa.
Hey. Y'all need to keep it down to a whisper, all right? People are writing, not just him, but other people are trying to copy notes.
You let me look at that phone? Here's the- Aaron will be fine over there.
Did you seriously just tell me to get a fade? Huh? Oh, me? I'm not getting a fade. Why? I like my fade.
You let me in this way.
Dude, if I grew a mullet, it'd be so cool.
Is the one where I was like, big the mom be like, I'm gonna shiny.
So you see what you're. Yeah, that's how I put it on. That's how we do it. Because we have, I think it's our eyes. Yeah. All the way back. And I have a uphill sitting. Yeah, I'm not gonna have. I don't have.
Oh, and then I should probably do things for you.
Honestly, I think
All right. Yeah, Cardinal Richelieu, all-powerful minister, French king, entered the struggle in order to humble the Austrian Habsburgs and extend their boundaries. Good job. All right, next one. Peace of Westphalia.
There's one on another. Over.
Hear that?
I'm like, Charlotte. I'm like, okay, let me just.
I see the
That's a pretty handwriting. I'm right now. There wasn't even a button. Don't worry. And the bottom. Serious?
Kelby, did you help your partner?
No.
No.
All the sections highlighted on it.
Huh?
It's not gonna change.
I'm right on the paragraph. No, this is it. I can be up here alone.
What are you gonna show me? Hurry up. Is that what you'll actually? Both of y'all.
Eller says perfectionist.
Well, the E and the B are two colors.
That's okay. All right, so Peace of Westphalia ended the long series of wars which favored the Reformation, left Germany more divided than ever. Yeah, so, and this is what's one of the things that helped lead to the downfall or the decline of the Holy Roman Empire, which would finally die in World War I. All right, so next one. What did the war do to those poor German peoples? All right.
Shut up. Deal with it.
So Germany had childhood trauma.
Thanks to Maya for leaving me there.
You're welcome.
All right.
So do the same with you.
Nah.
What about the Jew word?
He really said.
That was so cheesy. I don't know how we lasted.
Oh, Ariel.
What?
I don't know how I'm gonna.
That's what his dad, that's what my dad said.
Right at the
We have a school club, right? Yeah. Jared, what is that? Clip. Does it work?
It's, I mean,
How much weight could it hold? None. Puts bird on it.
Why not hunters back then? Really?
Oh my gosh.
Kings.
That's cool. How far are you getting in?
Don't test it.
Let me test it. Not breaking it, are you gonna be mad?
Out in power.
Yeah, that's gonna break.
Negotiating.
Negative.
I'm done reading.
Maybe you spelled Germany wrong.
Put that hat on.
Huh? I was in a rush.
Blah.
Dude, look like
But
me.
if you can put it on
No.
I like it. What's your dad say if you grew up
No,
more?
I didn't do it.
They probably like.
Awesome.
I think it's last night.
So what did the war do to Germany? Left Germany more divided. All right, hey, let's get the last one up here, please. Left Germany more divided. Negotiating treaties without emperor, Habsburg postponed unification of Germany, and recovery came in the 19th century. So yeah, took a long time for them to get back on their feet. So the next one is, and the last one's Hugo Grotius, which sounds like a foot disease.
Oh.
Oh, nice. I hope your grandma gets grandma disease. What's that? It's where she strolls up and smells like mothballs and shot. Grandma disease. I hope your grandma gets grandma disease.
No.
What's grandma disease?
We shrivel up and smell like mothballs and cotton.
No.
Lotion and mothballs. Hey, TNT head honcho, scale 1 to 10, how do you,
How do you make C4 constitution?
have you never seen that nasty?
So do you. Then I kind of,
In the
wait, no, I
zoo?
wear it.
You don't watch that? Oh,
Been a
okay.
lot.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work.
I had to like make sure. I didn't feel like I was a weird. I'm good.
100.
I think it's for the best of you. Imagine if Robin went out even be.
What'd you get?
How did he die? He drowned. Oh, should he go swimming? No, he sprinkled water.
You've had this. You've had that since last year. You said.
Hey, let's let her finish up, everybody.
Yeah.
Am I gonna teach you how to win?
Yeah. Because I don't know how to work with those kinds of things.
It's easy to figure out.
Sweet. So Hugo Grotius, he was a Dutch jurist, which can mean like, it can either mean a judge or sometimes juries were like you were a professional jurist, like to be on like trials, who published on the laws of war and peace in 1625. And so this came up with the concept of war crimes and stuff, which is important. You don't want armies to just totally do inhumane stuff to unarmed people. It's horrible. And I'm not saying it went away, but you know. Hey, all right, folks, it's going to end it for today. We'll meet back tomorrow. And don't forget to study for your test.